Welcome to Dewey Channel. The name is taken from John 2, verses 1 through 5. At the wedding feast of Cana, the wine was failing, and the Blessed Virgin Mary said to Jesus, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to Mary, "Woman, what does that have to do with me and thee?" And Mary, turning to the waiters, said, "Whatsoever he says to you, do," meaning do the will of God. Mary, per her request as the intercessor with Jesus, performed the first public miracle. Today's lesson, we are going to talk about our desire to be saints and how to be saints. St. Paul said to the Romans in Romans 8:28, "And we know that to them that love God, all things work unto good, to such as according to his purpose are called to be saints." Steps in our desire to be saints. First, we need faith. We need to believe in Jesus. We need to have faith in God. We need to strive for sanctity. We need to strive for sacred and holy things. We need to strive for holiness. We need to have a prayer life. We need to pray. It's important to pray the rosary. At Fatima, the Virgin Mary said, "Pray the rosary." We need to stay in a state of grace. We need to be baptized. In baptism, we get sanctifying grace. We also receive grace in receiving the 7 sacraments. The 7 sacraments are, in addition to baptism, confirmation, confession, Holy Eucharist, matrimony, extreme unction, and holy orders as the priest. We need to say yes to God's will. In Mary's fiat in Luke 1:38, she said, "Behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord." And Jesus in Matthew 26:38, he said, "I'm sorrowful unto death." He said, "My Father, if it be possible, let this chalice pass from me. Nevertheless, not I will, but as thou wilt." And then in Matthew 26:42, he said a second time in prayer, he said, "My Father, if this chalice may not pass away, but I must drink it, thy will be done." And then in Matthew 26:44, he prayed a third time the self-same prayer, 3 times showing doing the will of God. Love charity. God is charity, giving his only beloved Son. We must identify our faults. We must see our own nothingness, our own wretchedness. We must be humble and have humility. We must be motivated by God alone and have obedience in the 10 Commandments. We have to have no attachments. We must be free of self-love and self-esteem. We must be free of creatures and fear of our own will. We must lose ourselves and be open to suffering. As in Matthew 16:24, Jesus says, "If anyone wishes to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me." To gain all of God, that is God's will, we must have an interior life and listen to the voice of God within us. In Matthew 7:21, Jesus says, "Not everyone who says, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter into the kingdom of God, but those who do the will of my Father will enter into the kingdom of God." And finally, in closing, in Colossians 1:12, St. Paul says, "Giving thanks to God the Father, who hath made us worthy to be partakers of the lot of saints in light." Please visit my website, maryhinderscheid.com, and purchase my books, What Has Happened to Mother Church and Rennie's Unshakable Heart, a 5-book children's series available also in Spanish. And thank you, and until next time, God bless. And as the Blessed Virgin Mary says, has requested, whatsoever Jesus instructs you, do.